This is our AWS DevOps project series, project 1, and services I'm used in my project AWS VPC, EC2 instance, application load balancer, AWS Route 53, and AWS Certificate Manager that provision SSL certificate to our web application. A domain name that I have already purchased from a hostinger. It's a DevOpsExcellenceHub.com. I'm using that domain name in our in this project. So I'm going to start from AWS console. This is our AWS console. I'm already logged in. So I'm starting from step one. Little documentation is here. First one, I create a VPC and their subnet, then internet gateway and routing table that provide a network solution to our web server. For a web server, I'm using a EC2 instance and that host a web application to a web server and create security groups. And the third step, I'm creating a application load balancer. After application load balancer, I'm creating a route 3 hosted zone and etc. Name server records. And last thing, we create a certificate by using AWS Certificate Manager. So I'm going to create a VPC first. A VPC. Click on the VPC. Click on VPC1. Create VPC. Rename it. I'm going to rename it as a DevOps VPC. We create a CID Arbula -16. Tenancy is the default. No need to IP version 6 need. No need to tags. I'm going to create a VPC. So our VPC is successfully created. Now I'm going to create a subnets for VPC. I'm going to select my currently created VPC. This is a DevOps VPC. I'm going to create a subnets. It's a DevOps subnet 1. Availability zone. I'm choosing US East 1A. CID Arbulog. I'm going to set uh, .0 hyphen 24. I'm creating a second subnet. The first one is DevOps subnet 1, the second one is subnet 2. And here I'm going to select US East 1B for highly availability. And this is our CITR log for our second VPC, second subnet 10.0.2.0.24. Now we are good, no need to tag it and create a subnet of our VPC. So our subnets are successfully created. Third thing, I'm going to create a route table. This is our DevOps -RT route table. Select VPC. I'm going to select my currently created DevOps VPC. And our routing table is created. Now I'm going to attach my subnet to routing tables. So click on subnet association, edit subnet association, select both subnets that I have created earlier and click on save association. So our subnet associated with our routing table. And last thing is I'm going to create an internet gateway to communicate with internet. So this is our DevOps IGW Internet Gateway. Here I'm going to create a gateway. So our gateway is created now. This time I need to attach with my VPC. So click to attach to VPC. Select our current DevOps created VPC. And last thing we need to configure our route to our internet gateway. Reach enough internet. So edit routes, add routes, and internet gateway. Select the created internet gateway. So I'm going to create a EC2 instance as a web server that serve our application over a Nginx web server. Let's go on EC2 instance. Then create a launch instance. Rename it to I'm going to create DevOps web server. I'm selecting a Ubuntu as a base image. And T2 micro is fine, is a free tier. We will create a key pair. DevOps checks one. Click on edit network, select our created DevOps VPC. Here is our both subnets are available. Auto sign IP, yes we need, and public IP address. Click on enable. Create a security group. Groups SG. We need to add SSH and we need to add HTTP. Here we go with the 8 GB of storage. Click on advanced details. Here I'm using a pre-created script. This is a small script that when our EC2 instance is running, it's update the package manager and then install Nginx web server. Then host a small web application. Welcome to DevOps Excellence in Hub in our web server. And at the end, it start the Nginx and enable Nginx service. And lastly, I'm click on launch instance. Yes, it's in a pending state. Let's wait for a minute when it's available and in running state. Yes, it's in a running state. So here we have created a VPC subnet internet gateway routing table, created a EC2 instance, set a small web application, create a security group to reach our web application from a browser in a different internet. I'm going to Click public IP version 4 address, open in a browser. Let's see if our web application is serving over the static elastic IP address or not. Give it to few minutes. Let me connect to instant to check the Nginx service status. Yes, let me check the Nginx sudo systemctl status. Nginx, yes, it's active and running. It takes a few minutes to enable the service. Let me create a load balancer. It's our third step. Click on load balancer. But before going to load balancer, we need to create a target group. So in our left pane, click target groups, create target group. Yes, we are using an instance. Protocol is HTTP and IP address is IP version 4. VPC I'm going to cover created a DevOps VPC. All good. Target group name is our DevOps TG target group. Click on next. Available instances, let me add, include as pending. Yes, our instance DevOps project is part of the target group. Yes, our target group is created. Still on the yes. This is my public elastic IP address of my EC2 instance. Welcome to DevOps Excellence Hub. I'm using a script to serve our application. So we are good with our application. I'm going to create a load balancer. Create load balancer, click application load balancer, click on create DevOps -LP internet facing है IP version 4. Select our DevOps VPC. Map both of our subnet. So we need to create a new security group for our load balancer. Security group is DevOps security group. VPC the DevOps VPC. Need to add inbound rule. Want to add HTTP anywhere. Second thing I'm going to create a SSH into anywhere and create security group. Port SSH and HTTP. Now check our yes, check load balancer security group. In our listener pool, we are good with the HTTP port. So here is a different details. Create a load balancer. Default action forward to target traffic to our target group where I have added my web server. So our load balancer are running. It's in a provisioning state. Let's wait for a minute. Copy the DNS name of our load balancer and convenience. Here's my domain name. This is our name server. Let's wait for a minute. Now our load balancer is in active state. Click the refresh button. Yes, we are good with our application load balancer. We are accessing our application using the DNS name of our application. So second thing is we need to create a Route 53 hosted record. Click on Route 53. Just in left hand, click on hosted zone. Create a hosted zone. Check the domain name. Copy domain name from our hosting plan. Click. It's a public hosted zone. Creating a hosting zone. Yes, it's added a name server, so DevOps Excellence Hub, and some other rules added. Well, now we need to add these name server in our hosting panel. Change the name server 1, name server 2, and the name server 3. Yes, click on save button. It might take up to 24 hours for the domain to propagate to the new name server. Yes, it's take 2 or 3 minutes, 24 hours to update the domain name. Let's wait for it. Normally, it's take 2 or 3 minutes to update the name server records. So I'm going to check the DevOps Excellence Hub. So not secure. No need to this. No need to this tab. Yes, it's not available. Let's wait for its updation. Now we need to create a record to point our load balancer. Click on a simple routing. Click on next. Define simple record. We are using a root domain name. No need to subdomain. Click on endpoint. We're using application load balancer. Check the US East 1 where I'm created my load balancer and define our a record. Yes, we are good. Go. Now I'm going to create a certificate using AWS Certificate Manager. Our last step. So request a certificate. Request a public certificate. Click on next. Fully qualified name. I'm using my domain name. It's a DNS validation recommended and email verification. Key is RSA2048 is fine. Request a certificate. Yes, here is our list of certificate. Domain name is DevOpsExcellenceHub.com and status is pending validation. So I'm click on the certificate. So need to create a record in Route 53. Click on Route 53. Create records. If I can check Route 53. Click on hosted zone. Yes, here we add our certificate record. Click to refresh. Its status is issue. So we need to update our load balancer for a certificate manager and enable listener rules and security group to enable HTTPS. We are already added in just for HTTP. So click our load balancer and I have added the HTTPS rules. It's a 443 and its a target group is 443 and we have added these in our security group rules and this is our default SSL certificates. I have created DevOps Excellence Hub and certificate ID is this one where have I already is created. And second thing is we need to add our security group to enable for HTTPS request. So this is our HTTPS. Click on edit inbound rules and add the HTTPS for anywhere. Click on save rules to update the traffic. So the last thing is we need to update our in that time our both traffic HTTP and HTTPS are working on our domain name. So we need to redirect our HTTP request to HTTPS. So click on load balancer. Here is our load balancer. Click on this. Click on HTTP. Here is our rule, default rule. Click on edit rule. Now this time to forward to target group, I'm using redirect to URL and it's HTTPS and port is 443. Now our HTTP request redirected to HTTPS. Click on save. Now we are all good to enable our load balancers. So a user is using searching in our web browser DevOps Excellence Hub. It goes to our VPC request and I'm using a application load balancer and a certificate manager that enable to inject the secure server to our DNS name of our application load balancer. Then traffic goes to our VPC. It's a virtual private cloud and inside our VPC our web server is a Nginx web. Click on the DevOps Excellence Hub. Here we go. Our SSL certificate are applied successfully.